So as you can tell from the title of the video, I have been a doula for 15 years. Yes, in 2005, I decided to leave my career as a database programmer to become a doula. And I've learned a lot of lessons in those 15 years, and I'd love to share some with you today in this video. If we haven't met in real life, my name is Alice Turner. I'm a doula, a Lamaze certified childbirth educator, and on my channel I make videos about birth. Now, before I made videos about birth, I made a lot of videos about doula work. And 2 videos that I made were about the lessons that I learned in my first 10 years of doula work. I will add links down below to the first video I made about 5 lessons learned in 10 years of doula work, and then I made 5 more lessons learned in 10 years of doula work. And I realized it's been 5 more years and now I'm at 15 years of doula work. So I actually posted in the community. If you are a subscriber to the channel, you'll have access to the community. And I did a poll asking if you wanted to hear a video about my lessons learned in 15 years, and it was an overwhelming yes. So here we are. Let's get into it. Lesson number 1, become a childbirth educator also. So if you are a doula and you haven't gone for a certification in childbirth education, I highly recommend you do this. So having these 2 certifications really work so nicely together. I was a doula for many years before I decided to become a childbirth educator. And once I got that Lamaze certification, I was able to add another service to my offering. So I was able to add childbirth education courses. I started doing private childbirth classes and really felt like I could offer my clients a much broader service than just the doula service. There's other benefits to being a childbirth educator. You stay up to date on research. So usually childbirth educators are keeping abreast of what is going on in research for childbirth, and I think makes the doula role very rich to have that skill as well. So I really recommend that if you are a doula and you haven't gotten certified as a childbirth educator as well, to do that. Now, I have heard of some doulas who go ahead and teach childbirth class before they go through any kind of certification or childbirth education training, and this might work for some, but I think that going through training and certification is very valuable so that you are current on ways to teach and good strategies for teaching and just how to, like I said, stay up to date. So if you are a doula, consider being a childbirth educator and getting that certification at the same time, because it really benefits both you and your clients. Lesson number 2 was actually learned just in this last year. And the reason for this is I had a move in my life. I had been working as a doula in Atlanta for 14 of my 15 years and spent the last year of my doula work working in Seattle. So my lesson number 2 is that the doula experience differs greatly from areas of the country, I'm sure areas of the world. It is not the same for all doulas. This is a tricky subject for me to handle. So I have so many thoughts on this, but doulas are not given the same level of respect in all areas of the world. And I saw this firsthand. In my 14 years of doula work in Atlanta, I spent all 14 years building relationships with care providers, building relationships with hospitals, with nursing staff, with midwives, with doctors. And it was a very high priority to me to work well with other care providers. And it worked. I had several OBs, several practices that I had good relationships with and would send me referrals, had me on lists. But I will not underestimate the amount of work that this took and how many times, hundreds of times, I would appear at a hospital and I still did not always have respectful interaction with the care team. I would say even in my last of my 14 years there before I left, I worked with several nurses and doctors who don't respect or value a doula's role. And sometimes it was often even hostile, even though I came with a very collaborative, respectful effort. I didn't always receive that in return. I've talked to many doulas that work around the US and Canada, and I know that this is a shared experience where we are often really working hard and harder than ever to build relationships and prove our value to the birth team. It wasn't until I attended a birth in Seattle I saw such a different side. So I've attended several births in Seattle at different hospitals, and each time I have been welcomed into the birth team and just shown so much respect, and it made me cry my first time. I actually drove home crying, and I was crying because just thinking about all the years that I worked to try to gain that respect, and this was just my first birth there. I walked in, I introduced myself, I said, I just moved from Atlanta, this is my first time at this hospital, and the nurse just said, welcomed me, showed me where everything was asking my opinion. The midwife was treating us as a team, and to get that kind of respect instantly is just amazing and something that all of us deserve. So my tears were also for all of us that have to struggle, that have to go through so much hard work to be accepted and have to continue proving ourselves over and over again. And it is sad. So my heart goes out to all of you if you are a doula who doesn't have an easy time of the culture in the area that you practice, like I have experienced here in Seattle. And I really owe a debt of gratitude to all of the doulas that came before me in the city and all of the big players in the city as well, like Penny Simpkin, that have just worked in the city educating about the power of a doula and the value of a doula. So thank you, Seattle doulas, for paving the way, and keep up the fight, all the doulas in areas of the world that you still got to go out there and prove yourself. So number 2 is it's not the same everywhere. Number 3 is not quite as emotional. The third lesson learned in 15 years of doula work is that a prepared partner is so valuable to the team and makes birth so much better for everyone. This concept is something that I have been thinking about for years, that dads and partners, their role is critical and sometimes goes undernoticed or underutilized. And really, partners really just need just a little bit of extra education and direction, and they can just thrive and have a positive birth experience as well. And the reason, and this lesson actually, and this realization of the value of a prepared partner is what led to my current path that I'm working on right now and supporting her, which is an online childbirth course specifically for partners. And it is my belief that partners play such a valuable role and can benefit with education that led me to creating the Supporting Her program. So more details, if you want to find out about Supporting Her, are down below, but it is a role that should not go unnoticed. And I know doulas really hands-on in the birth doulas can bring a partner in, show dad what to do, and really make them feel included. But it is great to provide education in advance so that they know what we will be suggesting, so that they have an idea of how things go and how they can best take care of themselves. Because even though I, as a doula, will be checking on them, making sure that they're drinking and eating, if they know in advance that they are going to need to do that, it makes my suggestions at the time a lot more effective. So number 3, the value of a prepared partner is a lesson that I learned in 15 years of doula work. Okay, number four. Number four is going to show my age. Number four is being a doula is harder as you get older. Yes, that is number four. That for me, I have learned that I don't bounce back from a birth as easily as I did 15 years ago. And I like to think of myself as a fairly healthy person. I exercise regularly, I drink my water, I eat fairly well, and so I take care of myself and am in fairly good health, knock on wood. However, those long overnights, the extended time without sleep really is hard to recover from at my age. So I find that this is something that I didn't think about so much when I got into doula work. I didn't necessarily think about how challenges that I would face as I got older. And the only thing that was on my mind at the time was that it will be easier because my children will be older. So they will be at an age that they can babysit each other, they won't be breastfeeding anymore, and they'll be in school. So I really visualized that my time at this age would be a lot easier. However, it is harder. And I would say if I miss a night's sleep with a birth, I used to be able to recover within a few days. And now it's about a full week until I'm feeling back to myself. So it doesn't mean that you cannot be a doula at a very wide range of ages, but my lesson learned is that I need to plan this better. And one of the ways that I have planned this is actually a lesson learned in my 10 years of doula work. Again, I'll put the video link below, and that is that doula partnerships are amazing. I have found that doula partnerships are the way that I can make this work for my own self and for being able to recover. That is a lesson learned. So the fifth lesson learned is kind of a bummer, but stay with me, okay? Lesson learned is doula burnout is real. And I've known this. We hear about it. We talk about it. Probably if you went through a doula training, your trainer might have even mentioned it, that doulas can burn out. But now that I have been a doula for 15 years, I have seen so many great doulas stop working as a doula. And there are many factors that go into doula burnout, and it really is a wide variety depending upon the person. But some common things that I have seen have to do with what I talked about in 4, just the physical intensity and requirements of being a doula are high. The life on call can be exhausting and can really take a toll on family relationships and just general stress on doulas, depending upon how you handle being on call and strategies that you have in place. So not managing that well or not learning the best way to manage it can really take a toll. Also, the income challenges of being a doula, not having a steady paycheck, not having an employer, having to maybe run your own business, have your own health care. There are a lot of challenges on the business side that if you are not a natural business person or have interest in it, it might just lead to burnout from not feeling like you have, you can make the income that you need for your family. So there are several factors that go into it, but burnout is real. And back to number 2, where I said the experiences differ from area to area of where you're practicing. A doula that is constantly having to prove their worth and prove their value can really be exhausting and can lead to burnout. So knowing this, if you are a newer doula, be super aware of how it's going. How are you structuring your business? How are you setting your prices, taking your clients, working with backups, doing partnerships? Think about where you will be in 15 years and what strategies you can do to sustain it. If this is a career that you love, I love it. I want to keep going as long as I can. It will look different. I take a lot less clients than I did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and even 15 years ago. But I still love it, and I still have the joy working with families and helping in this important role that I feel like I'm called to do. So I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these lessons? Do you have lessons you would like to share with someone else who is watching this video? If you do, I would love for you to enter them in those comments below. That would help me, and I would love to read them as well. So if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. If you want to share it with your doula colleagues or doula friends, hit the share button. And I will be back next time with another video about birth. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. Really appreciate it. Bye.